Don't be fooled. Tennis isn't a game. It's a ruthless, cutthroat business disguised as a leisurely pastime for the country club set. The moment you walk onto the hard courts of Indian Wells, you aren't just there to pop a fuzzy yellow ball over a net. You are there to close a deal that will either make or break you. You are in a fight for your financial life. You're in a war for relevance within an attention-based economy that will cast you aside the instant you stop delivering a profit. So welcome to Tennis Paradise, the greatest illusion in the desert, a place where careers are either reborn from the ashes or silently swallowed by the sand. Today we're breaking down a matchup that the corporate sports media is trying to brush off as just another predictable early round contest. They want you to see this as nothing more than a standard opening match where two players are trying to get their rhythm. They're not telling you the truth. What we're about to witness is a clash between generations, a tactical war between two philosophies of baseline combat that are polar opposites. In one corner of the court, you have the emerging market titan that is Alexa, the 20-year-old prodigy from the Philippines who has been systematically taking apart the WTA's old guard, not with sheer explosive force, but with a kind of suffocating, calculated precision that was forged inside the high-stakes incubator of the Rafa Nadal Academy. And in the other corner, you have Yastremska, who is essentially a walking, talking tactical weapon, a 25-year-old Ukrainian who attacks every single forehand like it's a final desperate move to survive. This is more than a match. It's a vote on the entire future of this sport. It's all about leverage. It's about who gets invited to the big table with the billionaire sponsors and who gets tossed onto the Challenger Tour's scrap heap. Let's get into momentum because in the cutthroat world of professional tennis, that is the only currency with any real value. Eala is not just walking into Indian Wells and wishing for a favorable draw. She is striding in with the cold confidence of a corporate raider who just finished liquidating two of her chief rivals in the global market. She is riding a tidal wave of momentum. The 20-year-old Filipina is coming right off a monster Middle East swing, making it to the quarterfinals in both Abu Dhabi. And those quarterfinal appearances in Abu Dhabi and Dubai were not just some cute little tournament runs. They were powerful statements to the financial world of tennis, massive infusions of ranking points and prize money that function as a war chest, catapulting her to world number 32 and guaranteeing her a first-round bye at a WTA 1000 event. Do you truly grasp the incredible mathematical advantage that a first-round bye provides? In tennis terms, it's like being allowed to start a marathon at the 5-mile marker. It's free money. It is the system itself rewarding you with a golden key, because your recent return on investment has been simply too massive to ignore. When you get to skip that first round, you are protecting your most valuable asset, your body, and shielding your central nervous system from the damage of a grueling opening match dogfight. A has already converted her success in the Middle East into a strategic upper hand before she even steps on the court in California. She has compelled the tournament to acknowledge her market power, changing her status from a mere competitor to a major power player in the draw. But the harsh truth on the WTA Tour is that your success just earns you a more intimidating class of problems. And Eala's problem is named Dayana Yastremska. If Eala operates like a meticulously programmed algorithmic, trading bot Yastremska is a meme stock powered by nothing but raw, unpredictable chaos. Your mainstream sports analysts will call Yastremska's style aggressive, but that description is so tame it's almost insulting. We're talking about a singles champion. The 25-year-old Ukrainian is famous for her go-for-broke approach, massive serves crushing ground strokes, and a game built on pure force. She doesn't step on the court to carefully craft points. She plays tennis to finish them as savagely and as quickly as the rules will allow. This is a woman who has breathed the rare air of the top 25 of former world number 21, who understands exactly what it's like to have the entire sport in her grasp, only to feel it slip through her fingers into oblivion. You honestly think she's worried about Eala's little hot streak? Yastremska is a 3-time tournament winner who as a qualifier made a shocking run all the way to the Australian Open semi-finals in 2024. A qualifier. Do you have any idea of the mental steel it takes to battle through the absolute grind and gore of the qualifying tournament, and then just casually show up in the second week of a Grand Slam? That requires a killer instinct that no academy can ever teach you. Yastremska is a threat because she's backed into a corner. She's fighting to win back her standing in the sport. She's fighting to show her power-based game can still hang in an era that's become all about defensive baseline players and superhuman athletes. But this is where we find the catastrophic vulnerability in Yastremska's entire operational plan. Her whole game is dependent on low-percentage high-risk shots, the huge serves, the punishing ground strokes, and controlling the rally at any price. It's a spectacular strategy right up until the very moment that it self-destructs. When her timing is off by just a millimeter, when her footwork is a split second too slow in the heavy desert air, all that explosive force implodes into unforced errors. She starts hemorrhaging points bleeding out right there on the court in front of a stadium full of people. And Eala knows this. She knows it because she has already taken this exact weakness and used it as a weapon against Yastremska. This is where the mental side of this match gets seriously dark and manipulative. We have to discuss the mental edge Eala has on this particular opponent from their past meetings. They faced off on grass last year in the quarterfinals of the Eastbourne Open. Now, traditionally, a grass court should give a massive advantage to a player with the kind of flat, penetrating power that Yastremska has. The ball bounces low, the surface plays fast. It was set up to be a complete beatdown by the Ukrainian, but instead, the beatdown went in the completely opposite direction. It was all Alex Eala. The Filipina absolutely dismantled her in that match 6-1, 6-2 on her way to becoming the runner-up. Eala didn't just defeat her, she completely embarrassed her. 6-1, 6-2. That's more than just a victory. That is a complete and utter dismantling of your rival's entire game plan. You never forget a thrashing like that. It stays with you in the locker room, it follows you to the practice court, and it shows up in your nightmares. When Yastremska looks across the net at Indian Wells, she's not just looking at a 20-year-old rising talent. She is looking at a living reminder of her own strategic failures. She's looking at the player who exposed the one-dimensional nature of her power game to the entire sports world. This past trauma puts a huge psychological weight on Yastremska before a single ball is even served. She is well aware that if she falls behind early, the mental breakdown that follows will be sudden and merciless. Eala is living rent-free in Yastremska's head, and at this level of professional tennis, that kind of mental control is as valuable as a service break in every single set. So how can Eala execute the same kind of hostile takeover in the California desert? The key is control. Complete suffocating and total command of the baseline's geometry. Eala's entire strategy revolves around absorbing her opponent's power. She is the ultimate human shock absorber. Every time Yastremska unleashes a massive high-risk forehand, Eala's game plan is all about turning that power right back around, making Yastremska swing for one extra ball. One more blistering shot until the Ukrainian's frustration completely boils over and she starts making disastrous match-losing mistakes. Eala doesn't need to hit flashy winners to clinch this. All she has to do is refuse to be beaten. She has to drag out the rallies, transforming every single point into an absolute grind, a lung-searing war of attrition, and just let Yastremska go broke, spending all her energy on unforced errors. This is the dark magic of winning by attrition, of making your rival defeat herself, because her pride simply will not let her accept the physical limits of the court. If Eala can shut down the return game, if she can get inside the court and steal the precious milliseconds Yastremska so desperately needs for those enormous sweeping ground strokes, then this match is pretty much a done deal before the umpire even starts the clock. But why should any of this actually matter to you? Why are we dissecting a round of 64 match with this kind of obsessive microscopic focus? It's because of the incredible prize waiting at the finish line. This is about so much more than just getting to the next round for a handful of ranking points. This is about locking in the most valuable and high-profile matchup in all of professional tennis right now. The winner of this match could move on to face one of the biggest names in women's tennis, Coco Gauff, in the next round. Whoever survives this brutal baseline war gets the golden ticket a match against Coco Gauff. Playing Coco Gauff at Indian Wells in the United States under the primetime lights is so much more than a tennis match. It's a giant media spectacle. It's a huge corporate showcase. It's the type of showdown that captures the attention of global brands, luxury sponsors, and millions of casual fans whose eyeballs dictate where the advertising money goes. For Eala, taking on Gauff is the ultimate test of her brand's value. It's a golden chance to prove that the incredible hype building around her is totally real, that she's not just some regional celebrity in Southeast Asia, but a global force who can stand shoulder to shoulder with the current face of American tennis. For Yastremska, a match against Gauff is a desperate grab for redemption. It's a chance to completely change the conversation and show the corporate world that her raw power is still a force of nature that can rattle even the most polished top-tier athletes. The stakes literally could not be higher unless they were playing for a briefcase stuffed with cash. That's why Eala's mission is so brutally straightforward. She has to come out of the gate strong and establish control right away. She absolutely cannot afford to let Yastremska settle in and find her rhythm. Because if the Ukrainian starts feeling comfortable, if she begins to control the rallies from the baseline and finds her sweet spot, her power will become a massive unstoppable avalanche. Eala has to seize control, immediately absorb that power with the cold, calculated precision of a Wall Street shark, and keep the pressure on full blast until the very end. In tennis paradise, there's no room for doubt and there's no room for mercy. There's only gaining an edge, executing your plan, and the unforgiving reality of the scoreboard staring you down. You either make a name for yourself or you become just another forgotten line in someone else's biography. And let me tell you, the kind of national and geopolitical pressure resting on Alex Eala's shoulders, it's unlike anything else in the sport at this moment. When Coco Gauff plays, she's backed by the entire American tennis machine, a system built on decades of being at the top with endless money and a massive support system. But Eala, she's shouldering the desperate, starving hopes of a nation of 110 million people. Every single time she makes contact with a tennis ball, she's the lone global representative for a country that elevates its sports heroes to the level of gods. That's more than just pressure. It's a crushing, suffocating gravitational pull that would shatter an ordinary person. Most athletes would crack. Most would crumble under the weight of an entire archipelago watching their every move at 3 o'clock in the morning. But Eala was forged in a uniquely ruthless environment. The Rafa Nadal Academy doesn't just train you to hit heavy topspin forehands. It teaches you to embrace suffering. It teaches you that pain isn't a flaw in the system, but the essential core feature of every victory. It shows you how to turn your own endurance into a weapon, to look your opponent in the eye, and wordlessly convey that you are prepared to die for every single point. The strategic importance of this particular matchup is impossible to overstate. When you examine the larger macroeconomic environment of the WTA Tour, we are in an era where the old guard is quickly collapsing, and the power vacuum it's leaving behind is fueling a hyper-competitive, profoundly unstable market for ranking points and sponsorship money. Every single match in a WTA 1000 tournament is in effect a boardroom deal for future market control. When Alex Eala walks onto that court, she isn't just an athlete in a skirt. She is the CEO of a rapidly expanding corporation looking to acquire new market share. Her equity is her rock-solid consistency from the baseline. Her proprietary technology is her talent for reading the spin on a tennis ball and calculating the perfect geometric response in a fraction of a second, all under incredible physical stress. This is advanced algorithmic processing executed flawlessly through human biomechanics. Yastremska represents the legacy, corporations, the huge bloated giants that use their sheer size and historical dominance to overwhelm smaller, more nimble competitors. But in the modern game, legacy power is profoundly inefficient. It burns through massive reserves of energy. It is extremely susceptible to catastrophic system failures when pushed to perform outside its established comfort zone. Eala's entire game plan from the opening serve is to pull Yastremska into the deep, murky waters of tactical discomfort. She wants to force the Ukrainian to hit ground strokes from unbalanced, completely defensive positions, which totally breaks the kinetic chain she needs to generate that signature devastating power from the baseline. Consider the physiological price that strategy demands from a power player. When you're constantly being forced to hit extra shots, when your main weapon is repeatedly neutralized and fired right back at you. With interest, it accumulates a massive compounding psychological debt. By the middle of the second set, the debt comes due with a vengeance. The legs feel heavier. The backswing gets a little shorter. The decision-making algorithms in the brain start to short-circuit, opting for a quick escape instead of strategic point building. That is precisely when the unforced errors begin to cascade into a downward spiral. That is when the hostile takeover shifts from a possibility to a mathematical certainty. The mainstream sports media will just call it a grind. The casual fans might complain that there weren't enough flashy winners, but for the real insiders, the ones who truly get the cutthroat nature of professional sports, they'll see it for the masterpiece. It is a stone-cold strategic move, engineered for maximum gain with minimum exposure. The road to the Coco Gauff showdown is littered with the broken confidence of players who wrongly believed that raw strength was all it took to compete at this level. Alex Eala is about to prove to the entire world on the biggest stage imaginable exactly why the future of this game belongs solely to the brilliant, the unbreakable, and the absolutely merciless. This is the new face of tennis.